The following program is a production of the Harvard Business School Management Productions. The power of ideas at work.
Observe a Saab taxiing down the runway right to left as you taxi outbound. He will give way to you. Just keep the speed up.
Whether you're piloting a plane or leading a business, your success depends on information. Airspeed, fuel, direction, costs, return on investment, market share. All this information has to be available on demand. But what if the information from the instruments wasn't accurate? Or suppose the pilot relied on only one instrument to fly the plane? These are unlikely scenarios. And yet, this is exactly the situation for many executives today. How good are your instruments? Are they giving you the information you really need to lead your organization through turbulent times? Welcome to Flying Blind, the first program in the Harvard Business School Management Production Series, Measuring Corporate Performance. The Balanced Scorecard is a management tool for creating future value by overcoming the limitations of traditional financial measurements.
Well, I think you always need financial measures. There's no doubt that at the end of the day, financial measures are the measure of the results and the attractiveness of the franchise that you have. But I think they're lagging measures. Financial measures don't really help you drive performance. I mean, they're the ultimate result of your activities.
You can't abandon financial measures. They create some a baseline of discipline for the organization. But you cannot create sustained business development and growth strictly on financial measures. And I don't think that people talk about that enough. We are too much focused on short-term financial performance and not enough focused on the balance of the longer and the short term.
Our concern about the financial system as the sole vehicle for measuring an operation is that it's simply one-dimensional. Any single dimension would be equally damaging, but the tendency of the one-dimensional financial system is to focus operations internally as compared to externally. And we believe that some capability of measurement, which has wider visibility in the organization, is essential to creating that external focus.
If managers are under too much pressure to deliver short-term financial results, they can achieve these by reducing their spending on activities that create future value. They can cut back on research and development, they can cut back on maintenance, they can cut back on employee training, and they can cut back on customer service. In the short run, the financials will look good because the spending has gone down. In the long run, however, profits are going to plummet because they have mortgaged the company by reducing the amount that they're investing in these value-creating activities.
Score implements financial measurements with measurable objectives for achieving long-term value.
The Balanced Scorecard is a report card for the senior managers of a business unit. It enables them to view their organization through a balanced set of perspectives on financial performance, customer performance, internal performance, and innovation and improvement. And we want this report card to include a few, but not an excess, of measures in each of these perspectives.
The Balanced Scorecard starts with the financial perspective. What is success according to our shareholders? Then the customer's perspective is added. How do we become our customer's most valued supplier? The internal perspective identifies processes such as productivity and quality, which we must excel at. And the innovation perspective is all important for gaining long-term competitive advantage. Specific measures differ from company to company because they are derived from the strategy of each business unit. The measures selected will identify key elements of success.
The use of the balanced scorecard initially was attractive to us because it gave us a vehicle for translating strategy to operations. It is not a system for measuring strategy. In fact, is a system for measuring operations that are being conducted consistent with the strategy of the operation.
The balanced scorecard. Robert Kaplan is Arthur Lowes Dickinson Professor of Accounting at Harvard Business School. He is a leading authority on measurement systems that help managers lead their organizations to greater profitability and value.
Primary goal of senior executives is to create long-term value for their organization. They need to be able to operationalize what their strategy is, to see what they have to do today in order to create that long-term value. Today's financial performance is only one of those indicators.
In developing a balanced scorecard, corporate strategy is first converted to specific objectives in 4 key areas. One of these areas is financial, but financial measures alone are not enough.
The financial measures of the most recent period's performance will tell you something about how well the company operated during that period, but there could be processes that they developed during that period for customers and for new products and for new capabilities that will create long-term value that have yet to show up on the financial statements. And conversely, some organizations may have cut back on some of those investments for long-term capabilities. In the short run, this will make their current financial performance look better. But in the process of making those financial statements look better, they have mortgaged their future.
Because the balanced scorecard focuses on both current and future performance, it examines the business from 4 perspectives. The financial perspective contains the objectives that reflect shareholder expectations. For example, return on investments or growth in profits. The customer perspective contains objectives for meeting customer expectations, measurements like market share and on-time delivery. The internal perspective focuses on companies' internal processes to see which ones they must excel at to create future financial value and keep customers satisfied. Examples might include waste control, cycle time, or cost management. The innovation and learning perspective focuses on activities required for future success. Developing new products and exploring employee suggestions would be examples.
This is how we're trying to communicate this idea that
Professor Robert Kaplan and management consultant David Norton worked together on a year-long project with 12 companies. From that project came the balanced scorecard.
A lot of people come up now and they've read the ideas and they think they have a balanced scorecard because they're measuring non-financial measures. But what we've learned is a balanced scorecard more than simply measures.
Yeah, those existing systems are still measuring the past. They're measuring both financial and non-financial, but they're measures of past performance, and we want the companies to be looking into the future. What are the drivers of future performance?
Every manager knows that measurement motivates. If you put a spotlight on something, it's going to influence the way people act. And if you believe that, and you want your organization to move to the future, then you should measure the pathway to the future.
I was visiting a project team, and the project manager said, listen, I understand the mission. I buy into the mission. But it doesn't provide enough direction. I don't know what it really means to me. I can understand it as kind of grand terminology, but I don't know what it means to me. That frustration, that sense of lack of direction was permeating almost everything we did.
Norm Chambers brought in Dave Norton to help develop a greater sense of direction at Rockwater. They accomplished their goal using the balanced scorecard.
When we first started, the whole objective was to try and find a better way to communicate the mission and the vision that you were trying to put into your organization.
You know, I had this great void of understanding between mission and, you know, the reality that our project teams felt. And how to bridge that. You know, how do we make the mission real? Mm-hmm. How do we make the mission real? And Balanced Scorecard provided us with a vehicle, provided us with an agenda for discussion, provided us with the ability to bridge that gap.
Initially, the Balanced Scorecard will be developed at the top of the business unit. It has to be because it has to link tightly to the strategic objectives of that business unit. But then we want to be able to cascade down the Balanced Scorecard measures to operational measures.
Schrader picked his controller, Rose Andrews, to work with him in developing the scorecard. Andrews headed a small core implementation team that led a process composed of 4 steps. First, develop strategic objectives in each of the scorecard's 4 perspectives: financial, customer, internal, and innovation. Second, select measures that help assess progress toward the objectives. Third, set targets for each measure. And fourth, communicate the scorecard to the organization and manage around it.
The company's Balanced Scorecard process will usually start with a meeting of the senior executives of the business unit. At this meeting, the executives discuss whether they really do have a clear strategy.
We're validating.
This meeting assures that the organization does have a clarity as to what the strategy and the strategic objectives are. Frequently, this meeting is taken up with getting consensus on those objectives.
And Carlos,
You said that very well. We have producing locations in 3 continents, and that gives an advantage that none of our competitors have.
That's really a powerful asset for our lithium division that we should be able to build in very effectively into our strategy.
After an initial meeting of the senior executives, then subsequent meetings are held with middle managers and engaging them as to whether they agree with the measures that are being proposed.
During this second phase of the process, the FMC implementation team interviewed over 30 division managers to get their input.
we felt that it was important that these measures be identifiable by all of our different types of people, our marketing people, our manufacturing people, our technology or R&D effort, as well as the financial group. And those 30 or 40 individuals were interviewed in a team atmosphere in order to get their perspectives on what's important to the business.
The innovative aspect of the Balanced Scorecard is that the discussions that are taking place now at the middle management and at the operational levels are being driven by the strategic objectives at the top of the organization.
The Balanced Scorecard. Today, these innovative management systems are being used successfully by companies large and small to streamline business processes and focus attention on the key drivers of long-term profit improvement. And what about you? Do you know which are your most profitable products, services, and customers? Do you know if you're actually losing money serving certain customers or markets? Are your margins steadily declining because of constant increases in indirect and support costs? Have you been guiding your business according to short-term financial results while neglecting other measures of long-term growth potential? You may well need more effective measures of corporate performance.